If you stepped away from your business for 2 weeks, would everything stay the same? Would it grow or would it blow up and explode? And the reason I'm asking this question is I just had a major life change in the last week, and I was stepped away from my team for a solid 2 full weeks, and the business actually grew. Now, in this particular episode, I'm just going to be kind of walking through, one, how this felt, because this has happened to me not to this extent in the past, and it didn't go quite as well as it did this last time. So, number one, first and foremost, if you're new to this podcast, my name is Christian Stubbs. I'm a team leader, owner of Onyx Homes, and we have done over $700 and some odd million in sales volume just since year 2020. Now, if I went back 3 years in time, and I took 2 weeks off, we just had a newborn. That's our very first one, and it's been a obviously major life change. And if I would have had this happen 3 years ago, I guarantee my business would not have grown. It might have stayed the same. It probably would have shrunk almost to an unrecoverable amount. And what I mean by that is, if I go back in time 3 years ago, I was in production, number one. I was by far the number one source of gross profit or income to the company. And number three, there was no systems running with the team. Everything was based upon me being the bottleneck in the business. So I'll give you the example of what just happened in this last week to get some very, very real examples. So I left this last 2 weeks. And when I say left, I literally did not answer anything with my phone. I only did one thing, and my best friend's buying a home, so I did help them negotiate the deal, and I'm not completely out of production. The first time I've done that in several years. Just so happened to be really bad timing. But here was the reality. Gone for 2 weeks, and not only did nothing go wrong, so today I was on a walk, walking my dog, and I called my ops guy, and shout out to Alan, and I said, hey, I got 15 minutes out of the house walking the dog. What's going on? What do I need to do? What fires are burning? And he was like, no, everything's kind of business as usual. I don't really need you for anything other than, whenever you can come into a team meeting, it's obviously better if you're here. I'm like, oh, shoot, okay. Well, I'm coming to the team meeting tomorrow. This was our conversation. And I said, well, give me I didn't even need to ask for an update as far as what happened, because while I was gone, they continued to do the same way that we run our business. We run our business off of EOS. So the rest of my leadership team still did everything they would normally do. They filled out our weekly scorecard. So I was able to go through and see everything that happened in the business without even talking to anybody, which is really nice. So number one system that we had in place is how we run our business on EOS. I still knew everything that was going on with the business. I still saw that we opened however many deals. We closed 10. This was one of our biggest closing weeks of all time. We recruited 2 new agents without me being involved in anything at all. We have the most pending units we ever had at 36 for $30 million. We have the biggest month for closings we've ever had, and I've been gone for half of the month at this point. And in the last 30 days, we have hit 950,000 total views between TikTok and Instagram just in the last 30 days. And this is a new initiative. It is the number one initiatives we have for this quarter. So we had the biggest month there by miles. Obviously, that's growing at a really rapid rate. Biggest thing for deals, and we're still recruiting, meaning my company grew while I was out of office. So why is this able to happen? Number one, I have awesome people in our leadership team, and obviously agents as well too. But from an admin perspective, we just have good people. This is something that I have learned, and then been reminded over and over, is the better quality people you have on your admin staff, the better your company is, period. I was reminded this at the hospital, as amazing as the whole birth situation is. In a major surgery and everything, it really came down to, at the end of the day, yes, beautiful hospital, beautiful location. Obviously, they knew what they're doing from systems perspective, but the people at the end of the day made the experience, good or bad. And thankfully for us, it was good. But it's the same thing in all businesses, whether it's a hospital or a real estate team or a hotel or a restaurant, whatever it might be. That is what it's all, at the end of the day, comes down to, is people. As one, we have very, very solid people back, and they have the autonomy to do what they need to do in order to grow the business. They know what the goal is to grow the business. I suppose that's probably number one, is we all understand how we're growing the business. They understand how the business works. And then they have complete autonomy to do what they need to do in their respective lanes. Number two is, so good people is number one. Number two is we run the business off of systems. I'm trying to think of a different way to say this other than just make it as simple as possible. We run our business off of systems. So when we are doing our leadership meetings, we know what we're doing. We have a scorecard we fill out every single week. Those are our KPIs. That is our major focus, right? Was making sure that obviously if it's a KPI, it's a major focus. And we know that the number one focus is recruiting agents to the team, driving more traffic through our organic lead gen, which is what we're doing. So all of this having said is we run the business off of systems. So if we're going to have to do something twice, or think of it like this, if we're going to have to do something on a regular cadence, we have a system for it. We make the system very clear, try to make it as simple as possible, and ideally it's written down or at least video documented. And this is just for everything we do with the business. It allows us to scale, and it allows me to not be a bottleneck. It allows our admin to not be a bottleneck. So if I am the bottleneck for all decisions in the company, literally nothing can happen if I don't answer my phone, which doesn't make any sense at all. And I can give two different examples. I won't give details, but I can give two different examples this week where a question came up that would normally be directed towards me. Even if it came through an admin, it would be, hey, Christian needs to sign off on this. Well, because we have systems in place for those particular questions, my office admin was able to say, hey, this is how we make these, this is how we make these decisions. Here is the decision. Unless Christian overrules it after the fact, this is the decision. And it's just based on how that particular system works. And it was no problem. It was exactly what I would have said. But instead of me just saying like, oh, here's what I feel like doing. The first time this came up, we were like, okay, we're going to see this problem over and over and over again throughout the years. Let's just make it an easy system for it. And we say, okay, somebody asked for this. Well, if this, then this, and if this, then that. Fantastic, super easy. And it allowed my admin to take two things that didn't need to come to me, and two, he was able to handle it. So it didn't become a bigger problem. There wasn't like, oh, let me get back to you. Let me check with the manager and get we're just able to solve problems. It's also how we run our business from a accountability standpoint. Obviously, in the business of real estate, we are a real estate sales team. We're a recruiting, retaining, and training and retaining team is what we do. So we generate leads. We get those leads to our agents. We hold them accountable to do their jobs and all of that. And all of that happened without me being involved literally at all. And the sales managing still happened because of the systems. It wasn't because I wasn't there to look at everybody's CRM. I didn't need to. Our systems do that for us every single week. So here's kind of the message that I want to give. This is back to the 3 years ago version of me and how I ran my business. Is most team leaders do not have an actual business. They have two jobs. Their job number one is personal production, meaning you selling real estate. And this is to generate income and pay the bills. Job number two is to run your team that loses money. This is most real estate team leaders. The reason that I'm sharing this is get out of this as soon as possible. If this feels like a personal attack, trust me, I get it. That's not how I want it to feel or sound, but like I did this for the first 3 years and cost myself probably millions of dollars, definitely hundreds of thousands, multiple six figures. I was pouring all of my personal production into my team, and I was telling myself I was reinvesting into the business, which was total bullshit. It was just me hiding and being like, oh, this sounds better than I run a failing business, and I'm funding it with my sales, which is what a lot of team leaders do. My message for you today is you do not have to keep it that way. You can make these changes to your business. We talk about on this podcast, a lot of them we have already talked about to this point, and I don't even know how long I've been doing this, but I've covered most of the things that have to be done, in my opinion, in order to go from that 2 jobs and hating it to where we're at now. We've done it in 2 years. It took about 18 months to totally turn the business around, and I could have done it faster had I known what I know now, which is why I make this content and I share this type of stuff. So if you're running a business or a team that loses money, and you are completely dependent upon your personal production, just decide, like, blow the team up and just make a lot of money doing your personal production, or make the decision you're going to run a real business. And real businesses run off of systems. They don't run off you, the founder, being the bottleneck for everything. So I thought this was a very fitting message. Last week, we went into detail on systems. So I thought this week was perfect because those systems just worked for me. I didn't have to worry about looking at my phone. I had very high confidence that my team was going to be fine. I even joked with my admin today. They're like, oh, should I just take another month off? And he was like, hesitant. Yeah, we can do that. No problem. We just need to figure out something with the team meetings. And I'm like, I'm kidding. I'm coming back tomorrow. But like, the team even had confidence that they can not even just not go out of business, grow the business. The business grew the last 2 weeks without me involved, which I think is the coolest thing in the world. So that's my message to you. If you're running a nonprofit, get out of it. And make those changes. Add some systems into your business. If you're doing, here's tactically how you can do this. We've talked about this more on other episodes, so I won't go too much in detail. Is if you have something that happens more than once, right? So think of something happens once a week, every month, once a quarter, every day, multiple times a day. Basically anything that happens more than once needs a system around it. And it's basically a how-to. Here is exactly how I do this. I use Loom. I think it's $30 a month or free. I don't know, one of the two. And I record myself doing the thing. And I will send that to whoever I want doing the task. Or sometimes I'll say, hey, delegate this to somebody. And it'll be like, hey, here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here's the video. Hey, I got a task for you. It's going to be done monthly. Here's the reason we're doing it so that they know. And here's how exactly to do that. If you have any questions, let me know. And then that goes on somebody's task list. And then we audit that task list monthly, quarterly, whatever it might be, just to make sure that the tasks they're doing are still relevant. And if it needs to get updated over time, we just update that video of the how-to. And that video ends up being a documented kind of step 1, step 2, step 3 SOP, if you will. But I have just found as a busy team leader, it's really easy to rip SOPs by recording yourself doing the thing one singular time and then having somebody else duplicate that system every single time. Now, the biggest one we have with our team is our sales manager. Our sales manager is a weekly email to our database. It is also the minimum standard that we have with our team. So these are the two things that combined make our sales manager, which I don't have a sales manager. I run 65 agent team with no sales manager. I would be the sales manager, mind you, but I haven't had to hire a sales manager yet, while everybody has told me at 20, 30, 50, 70 agents, 100 agents, I'm going to have somebody. And to be honest, I don't see having to have somebody yet because of the systems. So the systems, number one, is all of our agents every single week. I used to go through everybody's CRM and see how many leads they were due for follow-up on. And I would go through and it would take me forever. And I would just say, hey, you've got this many leads that need follow-up. Like, if you want to be on pause, you're going to have to do this. And I was the bad guy. It took me hours and hours and blah, blah, blah. Well, what I ended up doing was I said, okay, you know what? This is taking way too long. The more agents we get, this is not scalable for me to continue doing. It's not worth my time. So I'm going to go record a video. And I said, hey, here's how I pull this report. Here's what I want it to look like. Do this every Friday, first thing in the morning. And then 4 years later, we still have this report going out every single Friday, and this is the number one sales manager with our team. We do the same thing on a monthly basis as well, too, to make sure our agents are hitting a minimum standard of production. And if they don't do their follow-up and they don't hit a minimum standard, they're paused. And if agents are paused, they don't get leads, obviously. And if they don't get leads, then they're not costing the company nearly as much from a resource perspective. And if they want to get back on leads, they have to hit the minimum standard and they have to stay up to date on their follow-up. Very simple. It's been the best sales manager we ever implemented ever. And it's a system. It's an email once a week. But as a task that it gets done every single week like clockwork, so I don't have to worry about who's paused and unpaused. I think it's just the easiest example of why it's so powerful, because it has saved me thousands of hours at this point, 4 years later, of having that one system in place. So like I said, major life event this last 2 weeks, business actually grew because of the systems that we had in place. So I hope you found this valuable. If you did, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things. I've been sharing a lot of behind the scenes on my Instagram. So if you want to follow me there, you can do that. Just at Christian Stubbs, link in the description below. If you want the best possible inside scoop of how we run our business as a team, and you want more information than likely we'll see on this podcast, I would recommend getting my email list on the link in the description below as well too. I write an email for team leaders every single week at the same time that I write this, or rather do this podcast as well too. So I hope you found this valuable. I will see you in the next episode. Again, thanks for watching.